Jim Carrey, I believe last night at the Caesar Awards in France, making his big debut back into the spotlight. I'm going to play it for you in a second, but I put, who is this? Because it is definitely not Jim Carrey. The eyes aren't even the same color. They don't even care anymore.
You did recently share that you're ready to take a break from acting. Can you elaborate on that comment? Are we really not going to get any more Jim Carrey roles?
I gotta get out of here before I slap someone. Seriously.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There is no Illuminati. It's just a joke. It's just something that crazy people talk about. There's no such thing as our side and God's side.
I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
The last time people laughed at Katt Williams, he was on stage talking about big deviance and warning that Diddy was going to pay a price for the things everybody in the industry pretended not to see. A year later, the raids happened. The freak-offs showed up in legal documents, and suddenly that crazy comedian did not sound so crazy anymore. So when that same rumor pipeline turned its attention to Jim Carrey, people started paying attention. After exposing the industry again and again, he stepped back. But then the story took a strange turn. He reappeared in France with a fuller face, a different energy, and eyes that fans swear had literally changed color. Suddenly, the same internet that laughed at Katt's Illuminati rants was whispering that Jim Carrey, the guy who tried to expose the trick, might have been replaced so the industry could keep making money from his name while the real problem disappeared. If Katt was right about Diddy, then what does it mean that he is now talking about big deviance, secret contracts, and an industry that can even kill its stars and still make money from them? At the same time, fans are asking whether the Jim Carrey we just saw is really Jim at all. For years, Jim Carrey was part of the cool club. Then one live interview at the Oscars changed everything. He sat with Gayle King and did not hedge, spin, or play nice. He said he was sickened watching the crowd stand and clap for Will Smith after the slap, and then dropped the line that made Hollywood freeze. Hollywood is just spineless en masse. It was a really clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore. That was not a PR-approved reaction. That sounded like a man calling his own industry cowardly on international TV.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. You know, that insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that. You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. You know, a lot of people worked really hard to get to that place and to have their moment in the sun and to get their award for the really hard work they did. And it is no mean feat to go through all the stuff you have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. And it was just a selfish moment that cast a pall over the whole thing.
And it was not just a one-time thing. On Jimmy Kimmel's stage, he walked out flashing that triangle sign again and again, with his tongue out, almost like he was mocking the very people who hired him. Kimmel acted clueless and asked if it was a gang sign. Jim stared at him and said, "Oh, like you don't know what it is," then started naming late-night hosts as if they were all part of the same joke they were not supposed to admit. The audience laughed, but the room felt different. For a few seconds, it did not seem like a joke at all. It looked like someone pointing at the curtain.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Well, you don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
Well, we don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
I like it.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? Like, for years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, and they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things. And, you know, and you know, look at him trying to come it out. It's hilarious.
After that, his interviews became sharper, not softer. He talked about playing the game for too long. He called red carpets meaningless and brushed off fancy events that everyone else treated like sacred rituals. Under the jokes, there was something more serious. You could hear it clearly. He did not need the validation anymore.
No. I'm doing just fine. I just, you know, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
I mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, you know, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut it down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
And he went even deeper. In another clip, he started talking about America, Hollywood, and how the real power is not in awards or applause, but in controlling perception. He said, "This industry manipulates what people see, wraps reality itself, so the public will accept whatever story it decides to tell." If anyone else said that, it would sound like a conspiracy rant. But coming from Jim Carrey, the man who played someone trapped in a fake world in The Truman Show, it felt more like a confession. Put all of that together, and it no longer feels like a goofy actor just venting. It starts to look like a man trying to expose the whole illusion. He was not only making jokes anymore, he was telling people that the stars they clap for are spineless, that the hosts they trust are in on more than they admit, that the red carpets and trophies everyone fights for mean nothing, and that the stories coming out of Hollywood are created, not discovered. If you are part of an industry that survives on worship and silence, that is not just annoying, that is dangerous. You cannot have someone at Jim Carrey's level telling millions of fans, "Don't believe the show and I don't care about your rituals," without there being consequences sooner or later. And that is exactly when things started getting weird. Because right after he began saying all this publicly, calling them spineless, mocking their symbols, and rejecting their biggest stages, he did not just disappear quietly. He came back looking and moving like a different person, and the internet started asking whether the man who tried to tear it all down was even the same man they were seeing now. The easiest way to understand why people think he was replaced is to stop listening to Jim for a moment and just look at him when he appears in France. It was supposed to be a celebration. He got an honorary award, a standing ovation, and the whole room stood for him. But the real attention was not inside that theater. It was in the comments online. People were not discussing his speech. They were asking whether the man on that stage was even Jim Carrey. Side-by-side edits began flooding social media. On one side was the Jim from the 1990s, full of life, with animated expressions and energy in every movement. On the other side was the Jim in France, heavier, slower, with skin that looked strangely smooth under the lights, and a stiff smile that did not reach his eyes. His voice sounded softer and flatter. The wild spark people knew him for seemed almost gone. People froze the frame and said what everyone else was thinking but did not want to say. This looks like a mask.
Jim Carrey, I believe last night at the Caesar Awards in France, making his big debut back into the spotlight. I'm going to play it for you in a second, but I put, who is this? Because it is definitely not Jim Carrey. The eyes aren't even the same color. They don't even care anymore. So there are several things wrong with this, but the first thing I want to point out is the eye color. Jim Carrey has brown eyes, but these eyes are hazel. Let me blow it up some more, and then I'm going to show you the comparison, and then we have some more to get into. Take notice, of course, of the eye color, but the nose, the skin, it's like no pores. Could it be a filter? Sure. Or, compression? Sure. But that doesn't usually happen. I mean, there are no pores on this face. To me and a lot of people, this is a mask, a skin mask. But we have more details to go over with this because this is insane. All right. So this is the comparison of their eyes. As you can see clearly, two different eye colors, right? But let's zoom in some more. Let's zoom in some more. So this is Jim Carrey, right? And you can see the way the eyebrows sit, how he has somewhat of a monolid. It's not quite a monolid, not quite a double lid. It's kind of in between. But then you just see, okay? Just look at the facial structure. Now let's move this up. What is this? What is happening? Look at the lids. Look at the lids of the eye. Look at the eye color, the eye shape, the eyebrows. So they put all this makeup on him, which you can see the makeup, but they didn't fill in his eyebrows? Huh? So his eyebrows are now gray, but his hair is still brown? Look at the skin. There's no pores on this thing.
Then people looked even closer. In older interviews, his eyes looked dark brown, almost black in some lighting. In newer close-ups, fans claimed they could see hazel or green flashes, a different tone in his gaze. They took screenshots, circled the eyes, and compared them. Some people said it was just age, lighting, or camera effects. Others argued that you can change a nose or fill out a jaw, but if the eyes feel different, then the person feels different too. To them, that tiny change was the glitch in the Matrix.
They would go this far to do the mask. Why wouldn't they put in contacts? I personally believe that this is the age of disclosure, which they have said. This is the age of disclosure. They want us to know. They want us asking questions. They want us to panic, and they are trying to normalize it, or they're trying to gauge how many people are awake and have the eyes to see these things. Because even with this, there's people in the comments like, no, that's just a little Botox, and he just got older and his eyes turned hazel.
All of this became even more intense because Jim himself had talked about losing his sense of self. On camera, he admitted that he felt like he was disappearing inside the role people expected him to play. He said that the Jim Carrey everyone knows is not who he really is anymore. So when people saw a version of him that looked like someone doing a very good impression of Jim Carrey, same outline but different presence, they started connecting the dots. The man who said he was losing himself seemed to vanish, and then a man who looked like him but did not move or shine like him suddenly appeared in his place.
Don't get me wrong, Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part. But I don't think of that as me anymore.
You don't? Not at
really.
all?
Not really, no. I used to be a guy who was experiencing the world, and now I feel like the world and the universe experiencing a guy.
I think we got a little taste of that just a moment ago, yeah. And does the beard have anything to do with that?
Well, here's the thing. The beard, yes. Everywhere I go, people talk about the beard. They go, what are you doing? Why are you growing a beard? Why are you growing a beard? It's like they can't really think about anything else. It's just not, cohesive. There's something different about me, and it's that damn beard. And wherever I show up, it becomes the story,
Right.
It's a bigger star than me at this point.
Mm-hmm. And is that good?
It has its own Twitter.
It does?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Thank God it likes me.
Maybe it'll be president one day,
Exactly. Well,
that's the first step
now, right? But yeah, it's just weird. And I always say it's the question is not why are you growing a beard? The question is why am I growing a beard and still shaving my balls? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
No,
you're right.
It doesn't.
It really
doesn't make any sense at all. I think it's like a balance thing, It's like, if I'm shaved down, then I got to do this, So if I ever shave my face again, you'll know. There's a full beard somewhere.
Well, I think it looks good. It looks good on you.
To people who love celebrity gossip, that is just juicy drama. But to people who remember Katt saying that nothing in this business is accidental, it starts to feel much darker. What if this is not just an aging actor, but a role being recast in real time? At a certain point, Jim Carrey stopped acting like an entertainer and started acting like a man trying to get his soul back. He was not chasing bigger franchises or legacy awards. He was talking about ego death, the emptiness of fame, silence, spirituality, and faith. Interviews and articles explored how he turned to painting, isolation, and talk about God, saying things like, "I don't exist," and treating Jim Carrey like a costume he had outgrown. That is not the language of a man chasing more trophies. That sounds like someone who has seen through all of it. So when he looked into a camera and said he was retiring and that he would only return if angels come down with a script written in gold ink, fans did not hear a quirky joke. They heard a man drawing a hard line between what he had found in faith and what he had left behind in Hollywood.
I'm retiring, but
no.
Yeah, probably.
Are you being serious or are you screwing with me?
I'm being fairly serious. Yeah.
Really? Why?
It depends. It depends if the angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see. I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break. Yeah.
This is where the pattern starts to matter. The industry has a long history of turning people into warnings the moment they stop playing the role assigned to them. Dave Chappelle walked away from a 9-figure deal and was called crazy. Katt Williams started talking about big deviance and rituals, and suddenly people treated him like a joke instead of a prophet. Shia LaBeouf leaned into Catholicism and trauma, and the stories that stayed on top were about his arrests and breakdowns. The script always seems the same. Step out of line and you become a cautionary tale. Katt has been saying this for years. In his view, nothing that happens to a star is random. The fall from grace, the perfectly timed lawsuit, the sudden bad press, all of it is scheduled. He says this business can even eliminate a multi-million-dollar man in a way that makes everyone with a piece of his catalog richer. In other words, once your image is worth more than your integrity, They will do whatever they need to keep the image and bury the problem.
I'm saying that everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend, that seems like a setup, is.
Everything that happens in a business, everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend, that seems like a setup, is.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if Jussie Smollett and Lee Daniels for a living make stories that are not real, and they make them so good that people believe them and buy them, and that's what business they're in, why would you think it would be weird if they flipped out and said a story that turned out to not be true?
Why? Why would we think that? If they are capable of doing that for a living?
That's what they do for a living. They do that 300 episodes. Is take something fictitious and make it seem real. That's the business.
Theenel Gibson said something similar from the inside. Years ago, someone told him that his real problem was not understanding the social contract of the industry. You will be betrayed and used by the same people you helped, and you are not allowed to be publicly angry about it if you want to survive there. That is the deal. You give up your boundaries and your outrage, and in return, they keep the lights on.
Somebody once said my problem was I didn't understand the social contract. Yeah, I now understand what that means.
Yeah.
Do you understand it?
The social contract?
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah. What is it for you?
The social contract. You can't get mad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get mad. You can't let it get you, because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be fucked over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for.
Mm.
And it may happen that by circumstance, or even very purposefully, that you fuck someone over. But that shouldn't get in the way of you being able to sit down and have fun with them. Am I on the right track?
Absolutely.
You can't build a resentment about it. You have to still try and love those people.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're thinking.
Because it ain't personal.
No, it's not personal. They don't really mean to hurt you.
No.
Not really. I don't quite understand. Well, I mean, there's a lot of motivations for why it happens. Yes, many.
I mean, money will make you do stuff as well, won't it? I mean,
Yes.
one, them, us,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, well, whoever.
If there's many millions riding on a decision, it's hard to be philosophical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very hard. Very hard to be, you you have to choose what level of integrity you're coming in at. And
Okay.
And I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart. And I've actually felt the whole thing, and I've gone, wait till next week, or I'll think, fucking, and you'll resent it for a little while, then you have to let it go. Otherwise, you'll eat yourself alive.
Now look at Jim through that lens. He is no longer selling the fantasy. He is tearing it apart, calling the crowd spineless, calling the shows meaningless, calling the media manipulative, and quietly chasing God instead of another blockbuster.
I'm telling you, kids, don't come to Hollywood. I'm serious.
Your camera's there.
Jim, what about for you? I mean, you had it, on such a grand scale. All of a sudden, you were the biggest movie star in the world, and your paychecks and all of it were public. And I imagine getting out of a car, it was being swarmed with
And 90%
people.
myth as well. So that's a tough thing to deal with.
What does that feel like?
People
What is it
create your life.
Yeah?
They take elements that are true and they put it in an article so the article looks legit, and yet there's so much of the article that isn't true. So that's something to kind of teach you that, hey, you know what? In order to go forward, I have to let go of what this creation is. And I ultimately found that even the me I created wasn't real, so that left me in an odd, precarious situation. And I've been writing and creating about that for a very long time.
David is a direct violation of the contract Mel described and the fake system Katt talks about. He is not just off script, he is reading the script out loud to the audience.
In business, nothing is coincidental, or you would be hearing who's losing money. In all of these situations, it's only the artist that's losing. Somebody makes big money. When these rappers get killed, not incidental. Somebody made $100 million and now don't have to talk to that artist or none of their crew, don't have to validate none of their contracts. Now only got to deal with the mama, only got to see her once a year, and it's over. And the money goes up and up and up. So they killed this $20 million guy, but they reaped $60 million in benefits.
Wow.
And they had some people from your city do it.
That is where the conspiracy theory connects to the real-life tragedy involving his ex-girlfriend. Catriona White's overdose and the wrongful death lawsuits against Jim were real. There were accusations involving fake name prescriptions, emotional mistreatment, and responsibility for her death. Then came brutal media coverage, followed by the cases being quietly dismissed. There was no criminal conviction and no jury verdict, but there was enough dirt to stain his name forever and enough legal pressure to hang over him like a loaded weapon. Fans take that and push it into a darker theory. They believe it was not just a scandal, but bait. Once the lawsuits and headlines existed, the people Katt and Mel described supposedly had everything they needed to bring Jim into a private room, close the door, and offer him a choice he could never talk about. Either take the fall, go to prison, and let the world watch the downfall of a fallen icon, or disappear quietly. Let us keep the Jim Carrey product on the shelf, and everyone moves on like nothing happened.
Jim Carrey was once about peace, meditation, and disclosure. This interview is why he was murdered and replaced. They gave him a choice of going to prison for his girlfriend's overdose. Shoot, you're gonna trigger me. Everyone hated when I made that video. Oh, I almost got canceled for it, but you know, when I make a video, I stand out. Anyways, he chose cloning. So they're trying to say here, because there was a suspicious death of Jim Carrey's ex-girlfriend. I'm sure you guys are gonna go watch that after this because that video is insane, and then maybe you'll be mad at me, maybe you won't be. But this person's kind of like alluding to the idea that like Jim was either going to go to prison or get replaced because of this crime.
The replacement theory stops being only about a strange face in France. It becomes about motive. If you have a star who is seen through fake success, is openly obsessed with faith, ego, death, and leaving the game, has enough scandal around him to be ruined at any moment, and keeps telling millions of people that Hollywood is spineless and empty, then what would a system like that do? According to the fans, it would do exactly what Katt describes. Separate the man from the money. Let the lawsuits fade. Let the real Jim disappear into silence. And keep the Jim Carrey brand alive. Whether that means a body double, a softer, controlled version of him, or simply a man who signed a deal he can never speak about, the theory stays the same.
In 2017, there were a bunch of conspiracies going around. We've actually spoken about these before in a video about Jim because there was a point where the public was convinced that Jim Carrey knew too much about the Illuminati and Hollywood, and he was starting to say some things that were pissing off really important people. That is why Jim Carrey back in 2017 kind of stepped away from show business.
That is why this theory hits so hard for people who follow celebrity gossip. It is not only saying that Jim looks different, it is saying that Hollywood has a long history of destroying anyone who refuses to play their role. Jim tried to move towards something higher. He already had the perfect scandal hanging over his head. And in a world where, as Katt and Mel describe it, nothing is accidental and everyone gets used, maybe the strangest thing about the Jim Carrey we see now is not that he looks older. It is that, for the first time, he looks like he has learned how to play along. So in the end, it leaves people with two questions they feel like they are not supposed to ask out loud. If an industry cancels anyone who refuses to play their part and suddenly has a star who sees through fake success, runs toward God instead of fame, and lives under the shadow of a suspicious tragedy, then what is more useful to that system? Letting Jim Carrey walk away clean, or finding a way to keep Jim Carrey alive while the man behind the name disappears? And if Katt and Mel are even half right, that nothing in this business is accidental, that downfalls are engineered, and that everyone signs an invisible contract to be used, then how would anyone know whether they are watching the real Jim Carrey finally break free, or a carefully managed replacement, making sure nobody ever hears the full story of what he refused to do. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real. Abar chaho, main isko or by asterisk asterisk zinda simple English asterisk asterisk mean cardoon ya asterisk asterisk Urdu style English asterisk asterisk main rewrite cardoon.